Good morning, Reno Tahoe EO. This is Mike Bosma, your president. Trying to get back on some kind of cadence to communicate. There's a lot going on in EO land, so I just want to give you a heads up. The cadence of these weekly updates are going to be, number one, quick, never more than 15 minutes. Everything you need to know about what's going on in EO land the next week or two. Today, I'm joined by our illustrious president-elect, Amy Allen. And if we're looking a little tan, one of the things, my big takeaways from EO is instead of working in your business, working on it. So Amy and I just yesterday got back from Dominican Republic and for the President's Retreat. I don't know, what was it, Amy, what were some takeaways that you took away from President's Retreat?
Oh, gosh, put me on the spot there. But some personal takeaways are just sometimes EO takes me to places that weren't even necessarily on my own personal bucket list to go, that end up being really interesting places in the world to travel. So kind of happy to say I've now been to the Dominican Republic. Takeaways just in terms of EO in general. Every time I go to one of the regional events or the global events, I'm just always amazed at the ability they have to create that sense of connection amongst business owners. We have great connection within our own chapter, but it's amazing how easily that just spreads out and very quickly, to where you make networking people that can help you not just in your business, but also just help you. So.
No,
it's a global community, right?
It is a community. It takes a village. And I know there is this concept of scaling trust. You can scale your business, but can you scale trust? And only with other business owners do you scale trust. Yeah, definitely a good time. And looking forward to next seasons as Amy's really, taking the baton and running with it. So I guess what I'd ask first off, Amy, you're also the finance chair. So we're trying to give people a little bit of a snippet before we get to the meat of this as far as what they do know, so they don't talk a lot early. Talk to us for a hot second about finance. What is it and why should we care?
Okay, so the finance chair position on the board is, governance, nobody's favorite. On the other hand, it's a relatively easy position to hold. The finances of the chapter are certainly no harder than anybody's got going on in their business. And it really gives you it gives you access, first of all, to people outside your forum within the chapter. It gives you access to people in the region because you do go to other events as a board member. What else? Like I said, it's there's a little bit of interesting, sharing on what other chapters are doing with dues and what they're doing with their strategic alliance partners and how to, eke the most value out of our poor little nonprofit.
Right. Speaking of dues, they've asked us to come up with what our chapter dues are going to be. And every dollar outside of the credit card fee of our chapter dues comes back to the chapter. And, it's interesting. We always talk about dues. People say, well, how much does EO cost? And I've re-messages saying, because what I believe to be true, because, Amy, you can attest to this because you see the money go in and out of the account. We basically invest it back in entrepreneurs. So it's just, and basically the money that Global keeps is we're reimbursed with our SAP. So in essence, every dollar that's written out of members' pockets comes right back into the chapter. So, and we're one of the few chapters that are able to say that all those dollars stay local. So it's good investment. We as the board will set the chapter dues for next year. I'm just going to set, there's probably going to be a little bit of an upward trend there because they haven't been done anything for 3 years. They went down for a year, then, they just have to, go back up so we can invest in our amazing members. And if you're not attending events, basically you're subsidizing people that do, which I appreciate. Speaking of events, tonight, Brad Stevens, now our virtual assistant, Gwen, you're going to have to turn on your cameras just so he can bring you back on, so people can put your face to the name. You've met Gwen. She's our virtual or air quotes virtual assistant. She's not a computer. She's a real person. But that
Years ago.
you know, but her boss is Outsourced Access, Brad Stevens. Brad is going to be in town. Made the trip all the way from Atlanta all the way to Reno. And hi, Gwen. So I just want to make sure people saw I have a face to the emails, the texts, the WhatsApp, all of it. Gwen is doing an amazing job of keeping this chapter running, and in a short amount of time has been able to move the needle forward. And but Gwen's boss, Brad Stevens, Outsourced Access, is going to be here today. If you're a member of the board, we're going to have a little VIP. That means good appetizers, good wine, maybe a bourbon or two, and be able to pick Brad's brain. And he travels internationally, speaking about how to scale your business up using people that aren't necessarily in your office. And I would say Gwen has been an invaluable part of this chapter and has allowed us to do some things. You know, her prospecting alone is creating dividends. We just got a new member in that came through those prospecting efforts. And, you know, it's just, if you're not growing, you're dying. Right. So this is how that goes. And then tomorrow night, Tuesday, is going to be the event 2 to 5. We're going to be going through the ABCs of how to scale using remote personnel. I know Keystone, we just hired our first 100% remote out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. And I just said, all I care is having smart people. I mean, Amy, you've got a virtual or two, right?
We have 2 virtual
Right.
professional staff.
Professional staff.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's just, but you have to change how you think. And that's what Brad is going to bring to us tomorrow. Again, workshop 2 to 5. And then we're at the Auto Museum. We got some VIP backstage access to kind of how that's all put together. And that'll be a little meet and greet afterwards to make sure that if you can't make the 2 to 5, definitely don't miss out, because otherwise what you're doing, you're you know, we'll spend the money if you don't show up to the event. So just, you know, we'll either have good appetizers and drinks or great appetizers and drinks. You decide your path. And then, of course, the other things that you just need to be aware, requal is that process is starting. We're pushing that out through the moderators. And I would just encourage you, if there's just an issue with getting value out of EO, talk to your moderator, talk to me, talk to Amy, and we want to make sure that we're aligned. I think when I look at this learning calendar alone, you know, our normal learning budget is about 60 grand a year. We doubled that this year. And it just, I mean, you know, now, you know, you look at the gadgets we got at our last learning event. Who gets to do that? So if you don't know what that is, you missed a good event. The other parts of those things that, you know, if your forum experience isn't, you know, what you want it to be, talk to your moderator, talk to your forum, talk to me, talk to Amy. And because the other thing is we're back in requal land. EO is going through a requalification process. The good news is this, is I know people's businesses have been decimated, and Amy as finance has to go through all that. Of course, she's CPA, trust her with my life. You know that your information doesn't go any further than her. She won't even share it with me, even though I tried. But one of the things on requal is you get an automatic pass the first year, you don't requal. We have members that have never qualified. So it's just, hey, if you don't have that $1 million, don't sweat it. You get an automatic pass this year, and then you get a board bump the year 2, and then we're off to the races. You know, there's some other issues that are out there on requal, but maybe the biggest one, if you've been an EO member for 10 years, no need to recall. If you sold your business for, I think, over $8 million, no need to recall. But you just have to pay the board $100,000, and we'll let you back in. No, I'm just kidding. But if you sold for $8 million, come on, share the love. But those are things that's going to be coming out. But don't let that be a hindrance to you. Get those back. And basically the requalification process is you send your tax return, send that to Amy. Again, she's CPA, trust with my life, doesn't go anywhere other than knowing, okay, you qualify $1 million or more. If you don't, just let her know, hey, my business ain't gonna hit the $1 million, and then you get an automatic pass in this year anyway. No fuss, no muss. But I'll tell you this, you want your EO brothers and sisters to be around you to help get you scaled back up to get that business going, or even I'll tell you, on an exit, I was talking to a member who sold their business, and I was like, when I sold my business to CLA, because I thought, is there a peerness? Is that even gonna work? And I'm so glad I kept my membership, because I needed my forum, I needed my chapter more than ever, because that was a whole different chapter in my world. And then when I ended up acquiring the firm back, I needed them more than ever, so I'm back qualified. But you know, that process, I couldn't have done it without my brothers and sisters in my forum and my family in EO. And that's really what it's about. Now, when I talk about pureness, when I was in that season, you know, the people around me are like, no, we all want to be you. We want to understand how this works, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and that there's good value there. So that is a good part of that equation. When we talk about equations, Amy, president-elect, just came back from the Dominican Republic, fired up and energized to draw this thing, you know, drive this thing to 75. You know, what do you need? How can we support you as you get teed up for your year of president?
Well, I guess I just want to reiterate again, not to circle back on everything that you just said, Mike, but, you know, Ty was the president when COVID and the pandemic and the shutdown started. And then Joanne and Mike, even you, we've sort of had this mantra of no member left behind. Right. So I think the one thing I do need from all of the chapter is, you know, if you're concerned about requalifying, don't sweat it. We will find a way. It only, you know, if there's things you don't want people to know financially, that's okay. Like Mike said, it can be just between you and me. I'm a CPA. I'm very used to knowing when to, like, let's just figure this out. Nobody else has to know. If you're having concerns about whether or not you're getting the value, I beg you to reach out to me, to Mike, to your moderator, to someone in your forum group, because we just want to find ways to make sure that you're getting the value, because it's there. Trust me, it is there. There are nuggets of value here in the chapter everywhere. And then beyond that, I just, you know, show up to the events, give them a try. I know sometimes the timing's not the best. Even I had struggle with, I don't have time for that. But you generally never regret it. So that's my ask.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, no member left behind. It's well said, and I'll tell you, that's really what, when I talk to other business owners about who we are as an organization, it's like, where else in your life you have other business owners, it's really their only desire is to help you in your business. And so, yeah, you get a little vulnerable. I mean, we have a full-time admin that all she does is help our members figure out whatever they need. And maybe just in closing, you know, I had one of my best friends in life. He had a medical condition, and he wasn't going to be able to walk. And his Reno doctors were, you know, they couldn't even get him in to see him, and he didn't know what the hell's going on. And we have this thing called Health Network. And I said, well, Jamie, I'm a member. I can get you in. It was $500 to become a member. The next week, actually the next day, he was on the phone with like one of the top 3 people in the country. A month later, he was in surgery to get that thing fixed. They said, if they'd let it go, you would have lost mobility. And I mean, whew. So I just, you know, I've never used it, but like, those are some of those little ancillary benefits we don't think about until we need them. But then, good God, I'm glad that they're around. You know, so again, if you need any help, reach out. Hopefully we'll be doing these every week. If not, you can blame Gwen. No, I'm just kidding. But just this is what you need to know in EO, right? And real quick, there is an event that is May 23rd through the 28th. It's a trip to Italy. I'm going. You want to go hang out? We're doing a trip, starts either in Florence or Venice, and then it ends in Rome, because after all roads lead to Rome. And doing that with 60 other EOers, there's about 10 spots left. So I'd encourage you, if you want to go hang out, let's do that. Then I'm taking a cruise afterwards. Hey, let's make it the EO party bus. I'm in. All right. Until next week. Hopefully, well, actually, not until next week. I want to see you at the event Tuesday. Until then, we will sign off. All right. Thanks, Gwen. Can you make